Yeah.
Because this is too much noise moving it in and out. When they sit down,
They slide by slide. That's what's there. Maybe. And
we know. And you still haven't gotten back in the system? That's multiple weeks now. We keep forgetting it until it's too late. Next week, let's try not to forget it till it's too late. Oh, he doesn't have access to it. No, it's just loud today. Yes. Handheld mic is on the table. My table. How are you, Judy? Who else sharing the mic?
Oh, I'm a shorty. Do you get to put it down? Do I put it down?
Yep. You can angle it down.
Yeah, okay. All right. I'm here.
Pass feet to each other instead of trying to move it out of the
Just two.
slide.
Yeah, yeah. Makes sense to me. Perfect. Perfect. Okay, thank you. Take that hat off. I want to see you. Unless you're cold, then you can have it.
I need more people with brace cells.
What?
Can you see that?
Yes.
Can you see that?
I actually can, and
All
my
right, so
vision
that's
is
the angle it has to sit at.
is terrible.
So we're
It's
following
for them, not you.
But we can see it. Yeah.
Sorry. It's for them, not you.
You can pivot.
Are you reading Holy Manners? I don't know who's doing
I don't
it.
know.
I'm taking
John
notes. I'm
Joseph.
not doing anything.
You can come close if you want. If you want to see. If you can. I think John Joseph's supposed to start it.
He herded me up here. Said, we're about to start. Get up there. Stop talking. Just interrupted.
Yeah, that's why it's more. Yeah, that's much easier. Rotate. Yeah. Come everyone. Come and join us for the meeting. Yeah, this is the general agenda, and this is for me our script, what we're doing. It's just to let you know what the motions are, because they don't have. Okay, that's right. I'm so with the flow. Yeah, sure. JJ calls to order. Is he gonna do script?
Questions would run her around her.
Oh, good. to apologize in advance
For any mistake.
for any mistakes that I have said. Please forgive me. Yes. Okay.
Keep smiling. It's like no one knows how this works.
You have this.
No one's going to.
Nope, I'm the roving reporter.
Just say this. Oh, John Joseph. John Joseph, have you approached these people for moving and seconded? Or do I ask them who would say? John?
Oh, it's actually. Yep, of course.
You have a lavalier on you.
Hello, hello, hello. Great. So can we start with the slide before? Can everybody come and sit down and welcome to our annual meeting 2025 and 2026?
Burning, the candle was just put out.
The candles should have been put out, yeah. Yes, the church is burning down while we're having our meeting. No, we won't do that. No. Yeah, so I always love this particular picture because it shows the t-shirts. Maybe we should reignite those t-shirts. I think they're quite wonderful. Very good t-shirts. And it shows two great people. Couldn't be here today because they're at a funeral. And this is, as we know, Grant Lorenz and Sue Lorenz, yes.
Yeah,
But
of course.
Team Manor, I think we'll figure out a way to reactivate those t-shirts. How many people have one of those t-shirts? Put your hand up. Oh, good. We'll figure that out. So we have next slide.
Sorry.
So what I do is I begin to call the meeting together. Now I think let's try to read that together instead of one person reading it. And everybody has a copy. We call it the People's Version of the agenda, and there's a longer version too. And does everyone have a copy of the annual report and the financial annual report? We have, where's the box?
Besides Shakofi.
Shakufi, you have the box? Michael needs one. Great. So let's read that together. As God's people, we promise to relate to one another with respect, open-mindedness, and the spirit of grace and forgiveness. We promise to be kind, be mindful of our body language and tone of voice, listen to different opinions without interruptions, allow the quiet people to speak with an invitation to speak, demonstrate appreciation, be understanding in times of disagreement, remind each other respectfully when we forget our holy manners, sincerely say what we really feel, keep a sense of humor. Next slide, please. All right, we had a visioning day about a bit ago. So next slide, please. And this is an overview of our agenda. And everyone has a copy of that in front of them, hard copy. Because you realize this is written in micro font, it's good to have a hard copy in front of you. Next slide. So that's me. So I'm calling to order. So then moved by Liz Smith and seconded by Don Reynolds. Thank you, Don. To approve the April 2026 agenda. Any discussion? Call for the motion. All those in favor, raise your hands. Say aye. Thank you. Oh, right, we did that. Next slide. Oh, move to the pulpit to get on camera. That's good. Okay, thank you, Russell. Okay, so here we go. Moved by Don Reynolds, seconded by Susan Johnson, to appoint Susan Logie as Secretary of the April 26th, 2026 AGM. Any discussion? All those in favor? Carried. Okay, next slide. Here we are, extending voting rights. Moved by Joanne Nicholson, seconded by Susan Johnson, to extend voting rights to adherents and visitors to the April 26, 2025 AGM. Yeah, it should say April. Yeah, so we'll rephrase that. Any discussion? All those in favor? Carried. Perfect. Okay, Chair of AGM. Moved by Frederick Creaney. Frederick, there you go. Thank you for doing that. Seconded by Joanne to appoint Milana Dickinson as meeting chair. Any discussion? All those in favor? Carried. Over to you, Milana.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Thank you for coming. And,
1 second. If you can't hear, put your hand up. Talk louder.
okay,
Move
all right,
move
all
it
right.
closer.
Thank you.
1 second. We're gonna try. Just slide under the table a bit more.
I'm
Keep
a
going.
shorty,
Keep
sorry.
going. Keep going.
Okay.
There you go.
All
Great.
right, oh boy,
Okay, good.
yes. Here we are. So we have a motion to approval of the AGM minutes from February 23rd, 2025. And if you'd like to look at the report first.
Keep going.
Moved by Susan, it is moved by Susan Logie, seconded by Grant Lorenz.
1 second. I didn't know Grant's. We need another
Yeah.
seconder. So we need another seconder. Liz Smith. Okay.
Okay, thank you. Seconded by Liz Smith to approve the meetings from the annual general meeting. Any discussion?
All those in favor?
All those in favor?
Carried.
Carried.
The next one.
Thank you. Next one is the approval of the financial AGM meetings. It's moved by Frederick
Ohini.
Ohini, seconded by Liz Smith. Any discussion? Questions?
No, this is the minutes from the last meeting. And I know it becomes it's like past, present, and future, but just to remind everybody, this is the financial meeting from last year. So so think of it, the meeting was done.
It's 25.
Technically, yes. Okay, good point. Okay, yeah, good. Okay, so all those in favor? Okay, carried.
Motion carried.
Next one. Okay.
The next one is the motion for that Manor Road approves the 2025 general operating fund budget statement as it appears in the 2026 annual financial report.
Yes.
Is there any discussion or
We
questions?
need a mover. We need a mover.
Moved by, Michael Chang, seconded by Joanne Nicholson. Any discussion? Questions?
All those in favor?
All those in favor?
Carried.
Carried.
Okay, next one. So just to clarify this part, remember when we submitted the annual report, that was the proposed budget we approved back in 2022 of last year. So that's
20,
last year. No, June 22nd, 2025. That last year. So that's why it looks different than the one that was created, because we have to remember we didn't know what the budget was for 2025. Does that make sense? So think of it, we were halfway through the year, we created a proposed budget, and then when we finished the year, we created a final budget of what we actually spent. So that's what we're talking about. And basically what this motion is to receive the AGM report this is the whole AGM report, the annual report that we have, okay? So then moved by Michael Chang, seconded by Don Reynolds. Over to you, Milana.
so the next motion is that Manor United Church approves the proposed 2026 general operating fund budget as it appears in the 2025 annual financial report. Any discussion? All in favor? Motion carried.
Next one. So basically, this is where we go over, can we see the next slide, sir? Okay, back up.
Yeah.
So this is where we have to go and talk about the financial report that was submitted. This is this one. Okay, does everyone have one of these? Good. Okay, so this is where we need Michael to do his interpreting. So this is the end of the year 2025 budget. So if that helps people understand. So basically, what we did, unlike last year, instead of printing it on a screen and it being written in micro font, we printed on hard copy. So people have had this for a few weeks, but it might be helpful if Michael, you want to come up to this podium and then be able to answer some questions. So as you look at this, and maybe you want to give a brief summary of it. Okay. How about right here? Perfect, okay.
Can you speak?
And Michael will give a brief summary and then, and talk about then the next budget. Okay.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Michael Chang, and I prepared the budget for this year, for 2026 to 2027. So before I go into the explaining about the budget, I just wanted to give a general overview of how the financial statement works so that you have an idea. So it is split into, there's the balance sheet, which is the assets and the liability. So this is what we have at the church and what we owe, and what we have left, which is the equity, which is what we own. And then you see in the income statement, there is the revenue, which is money that we get in to support our church functions, and what goes out. So the largest categories are obviously salaries and building maintenance and certain administration and programming costs. And it shows what's left. So what that number, what's left that you see, is basically what's left out of the general fund that we operate. So the church operates on the general fund. And the general fund is what we get in from the proceeds and plus accumulated with whatever is left over from the past, if we have any. There is also something called the special fund, and that is donations that have a specific purpose from the donor. And we have to keep those assets separate from the general fund because the specific fund donations are targeted by the donor for specific purposes. So they have to be kept separate. But the interest that we earn from the special fund is not necessarily targeted at those very specific donation purposes. So we could use the interest that we earn to cover any deficit. So that's why in the financial statements, you will see in the surplus and deficit line, it shows what it is, and it may show a negative number. And then you will see there are some numbers following down, some transfers from the special fund. So that's for the interest that I refer to help cover the deficit from the general fund. So for the church, from an operations perspective, obviously, you don't want to incur a huge deficit in the general fund if you can avoid it. So that will be supported through our donations and offerings. But in the event that you need it, we're not running on a deficit that will close down the church either. So that's basically the story about how the financial statement works. So before I go into the details on some of the larger numbers, does anybody have any questions about
So
how
just
the
remember,
financial
we're
statement
starting with
works?
2025. So is there any questions about 2025?
Okay. Thank you. Michael, I just wondered,
Greg, put the microphone to your,
okay, now I can really, no. The percentage of total budget on the left-hand
Yes.
side, what does that mean? Because, like, if they go over 100% in a bunch of spots.
Yeah, it's just to tell you, it's a quick barometer of whether or not what you actually got or incurred is close to what you think it was. And sometimes there's a logical reason why you're way off, right? Because as the Reverend mentioned, we don't know what the number is. So I can tell you, for example, for this year's budget, the biggest number that you might see swings next year is probably on building maintenance, because this is an older building, it needs upkeep, but you don't know what the economy is in the world this time next year. You don't know how much things cost. That will funnel down to the building maintenance charges that the suppliers will charge us, for parts and stuff like that. So that's an example where, yes, you may see a huge swing next year. It may be a lot higher, but it doesn't mean that, it's an alarming number necessarily, because as I said before, it is just based on the information that we have right now. And also, if we go over the budget, we do have a cushion out of the interest from the special fund.
Wait, Pat, please. Wait for the microphone.
So I can answer that very, just pretend your own budget, pretend we budgeted, let's pretend, no, she's asking the same question Greg did.
Building and ground,
103.
155. So it's 55% over what
Yes,
was budgeted.
that's it.
That's right.
Yes.
Oh, coming back.
Betty's asking a question.
Okay.
Sorry, very selfish reasons. I'm just checking. The Congregational Care Committee has a budget, but I don't know where it's under on the form that we have, whether it comes under worship and something else other, because there's the Decorating Committee and those other committees.
It is there, I
Is
did
it?
see it,
Okay?
yes. We didn't evaporate it. No, let's see, what line is it? That's good.
Yeah, there's a line item for decorating committee and property committee.
Yes?
I believe it's under groups on page 10 of the financial statements, left-hand side.
Are you looking at this one?
I'm looking at this one.
Yeah, that's that one, yeah, yeah. So if you look under Betty, budget, page 10,
Yeah, it's there.
left-hand side, groups. Yeah,
Down here, but I don't.
it's not there.
account-
I'll tell you what, Betty, we know for sure we have it. We're not evaporate, but we'll put a note.
It is in the in the 26 statements.
It is, but
Yes.
but you know where it is?
It's on, if you look at this report, the supplementary report, it's on
Yeah.
page 5.
Page 5.
So at the top, so it's under the expense section, and it's the top, and you will see a number there for decorating committee and property committee.
Right.
So that is something that maybe over the years, we have asked our bookkeeper to separate for us.
Yes. But it's just not listed, yeah.
Yeah, we might have to take that away as a separate item for in the future, that we will
Yeah.
isolate that line item too for reporting.
So Betty, what we're doing is we're putting it, we'll put a note back into the budget. We haven't eliminated it, God forbid. No, that's very important. And so everybody's here, we all heard it, so we're putting it back in, especially in the minutes. Okay, thank
Yeah,
you.
like the number is in the budget,
Yes.
it's just not allocated to that line item for presentation.
Right.
But it is in that
But-
number,
but thank
probably
you,
within the
thank you,
program
Betty, for
cost.
giving us your eagle eyes, very important. Okay. Good. Good. Okay.
Okay,
Other questions? Okay.
so, can I, do I have a little bit more time? to
Oh, yeah, you
finish
have more.
this? Okay.
Because you got to do 2025, then 2026, right?
Yes. So I would say overall for 2025, our financial position was healthy and it is sustaining our operations. If you look at the numbers, one of the things that I'd like to point out is that we did incur a $75,000 one-off internal transfer from the special fund. So there was some material expenses, probably within the building and grounds, that we needed funds to support. And so that was what that line item was about. So when you look at the actual revenues, that was one of the drivers why the revenues went up higher than we anticipated. Other than that, yes, the building and grounds expense was a material expense. Professional fees that is generally related to the bookkeeper expenses that we pay. We do have a professional bookkeeper. But other than that, I think that the 25 statements speaks for itself, and it shows that on a lot of the items, we are on target or positively doing better than what we thought it was. And where we were off on the building and grounds, we do have the flexibility to get some sponsorship from the special fund. And as I said, the interest is not a small amount, and we don't use up all of it to cushion the deficit. So that's 2025.
Thank-
When you talk about the interest, are you talking about the interest in the special gifts fund that's being
Yes.
transferred?
Yes, so
Yeah.
there is the capital itself, so there's the gift itself, and then we earn interest through, let's say, GICs or short-term conservative investments on that balance. And so that interest, let's say if it is 8%, right? We can use it to cushion the deficit or extra spending on the general fund. So that's an example where we're using it. So I believe we have like about 1.5 million on the special gifts fund, like as capital. So that interest alone, like, you know, even as conservative as 8%, right? Like that's not a small number too.
If we had a surplus in the general account, would any of that be invested? Would we ever get to the point where some of that could be invested, or would we never ever reach that point? You know?
So what we can do, we can table that for the executive, and likely we would, but we have yet to have that challenge, so to speak. But yeah, we could table that. Yeah.
Just from that too, like I've worked out like the revenue and the expenses. There's a deficit of about 53,000, which that 54 covers every year. Like it seems to be similar every year. That we have a deficit of about 54,000, which the interest is covering mainly.
Yes.
So we're okay. We're just not making any money in the general fund at all.
Yes, so the key message is the church is sustaining. We're not going under, even if you see a deficit line. But obviously that emphasizes more on how important it is to at least maintain the contributions and offerings, as well as supporting our fundraising program. Because just because we have that cushion from the special fund, it doesn't mean that, you know, the offering and the fundraising is not important. It's very important.
You're going to have to budget, as you said, for the building for the next year.
Yes.
Higher, so the deficit will be bigger.
It could be. We don't know. We're just basing on the best information, and we are forecasting a deficit against our general fund. But like I say, the deficit is not huge, such that it cannot be supported from the interest in the general fund. I mean, in the special fund.
Yeah.
Sorry, Micah. I don't know if you can answer this or not, but because you don't know about the funds of other churches, but is it kind of a common thing that money is always being transferred from the special gifts?
I don't know if it's a general thing with other churches.
No, I just wondered if it's kind of a common thing that churches are running with a bit of a deficit, and they always have to, if they're relying on the special gifts fund to, well, I don't know. You know, I don't know who does and who doesn't. So, well, people leave money to us as well. Yeah.
Just say we can get back to you on that.
Any other questions on the 2025 numbers before I move to the budget?
Oh, Don. Just a second, Don.
I can help you. I can address your question, Jen. Lots of churches, Timothy, Nathan, St. George, Northley, all run a deficit.
Can someone repeat what Dawn said?
So
All churches run on a deficit. They use their special gifts fund. There you go.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry.
Should we continue? Any more questions? And Michael can continue.
Good.
Okay.
We're good? Yep.
All right, thank you very much. So I will now move to the budget, so which is starting on page 6. And there is the number showing starting on page 8. So just before I go on to the numbers, so the layout of this is that you will see on this column what the budget is for 2026. So this is starting from April to next March. I believe that's the fiscal period or the reporting period for the church. No?
Starts from January.
Oh, January 1st? Okay, thank you. So yes, so the 2026 number is from January 1st to December 31st of this year. So that's just what we're forecasting. And the 2025 budget is the number that was for the previous year, which you can now compare against the actual. And the reason why we set it out this way is because we wanted to show whether or not our our budget for 2026 is credible. And what we mean by credible is, does it make sense? And there's two ways you can tell easily is, number one, you look at the budget number from last year to see, well, did any of the assumptions change from last year when you made the number? And if you see the numbers going way off, then, you know, as members, then, you know, that's your first sign to say, oh yeah, like, why did the assumptions change? And then you look at the actual, and then you say, well, if the number is way off compared to last year's budget and this year's number as well, like it doesn't seem to be consistent. Why? Is there like a one-off event that doesn't happen, you know, in this year? So so we included those two columns there so that you can ask questions and you can understand where the budget number comes from. And then this number here, this rationale column here is explaining, you know, how do we get that number? So I will go through that with you. So does anyone have any questions about how the report is set up before I get into the report itself? Okay, so I will start with each major category. So for the budget in revenues, obviously the biggest component of our revenue is on offerings and on space donation. So space donation is what we rent out the church for other functions. So for example, like there's a daycare that we rent out for, space to. Fundraising such as our annual music night does contribute some, but as you can see, it's not a lot compared to the other two areas. And then you see that there is internal transfer from special gifts fund. So besides that annual reallocation of the interest, there is also $4,500 monthly that is transferred to the general fund as a way to support the operations. And this has been a consistent practice in the past, so we're not doing anything different this year. The $75,000 internal transfer one-off, we're not anticipating any one-off requests this year at this time, so we're not budgeting anything for this one, nor was it accounted for in the 2025 budget, because normally you don't anticipate that you will be asking for money from the general fund. And then the investment income, so this line item here, we put NA because in the past it was part of the revenue, and so this line here, the 79,000, was the annual reallocation from the interest that was earned in the special fund to cover off the deficit in the general fund. And in last year's statements or in the previously, it was recorded in the church's general fund statements as part of the revenue. And we deliberated this year and we concluded that it should be off the church's statement because just to keep it clean, it should be just general fund. It shouldn't mix up from the special fund, unlike the 54,000 where there is an agreement between the general fund and the special fund for this transfer. So that's why we don't budget that number because we don't know what it is. Yes.
Just wait 1 minute.
Just a second.
Wait. Repeat your question.
You know, because that would help.
Can you repeat the question?
The 4,500's been there for some months,
Right.
few years actually.
Yeah.
Why couldn't they just say 5,000?
That's a question for the trustees, I think. But yes, so for the budget, we're working with the decisions from the trustee. But that's a good question. You can ask the trustees. Yes.
Oh, just a second, Liz.
The $4,500 is just I guess it was just an amount that we could every month know that we could take that money out, that we had the money in our account for the special funds from Scotia Trust. It could go up. It could go up to 6,000 or 7,000. One of the things
I was going to talk about a little bit in the trustees, but I could do it now, is that we're re-looking at our investment strategy, looking at it. We haven't really looked at it for like 15 years. And so having a lot of discussion about whether we should go into more equities or whatever so that we can generate more income without damaging the principal. So we're always looking at principal retention, that's the word, principal retention against what we can typically, I guess I'm trying to get the right words. If we have, that's an amount that we can always typically say, yes, we can do that, okay? Where, and now we're looking at trying to get $8,500 a month, so we'll let you know how that works.
In the middle of the budget for next year.
Anybody?
Okay.
Okay, so let me see, are there any other things I want to say about the, no, so that's all I want to say about the revenue number budget. So, so I guess the key message is overall, we are forecasting the revenues based on consistently with our 2025 budget. And we also considered the actuals and where there was a difference, say in the space donation. We understood the reason why there's a difference, and then we asked ourselves if that difference was due to like one time, or are there changes going on in the patterns, like the activities for the upcoming year. So which we did explain in the space donations line, why the number is different, about 20,000, 25,000 less than last year's actual. So, so does anybody have any other questions on the revenue before I move to the expenses, which is probably more interesting? Okay, so on the expenses side, the key numbers that I want to focus on is the salaries expenses and the building and grounds. So the salary expenses basically include the reverend salary, the musician salary, and as well as our the few administrative staff that we have. In 2025, it also included the expenses for several contractors, for example, who were involved with painting the church. And so that's why you see the $277,000 in there in 2020. In 2025. In 2026, the number has gone down because the contracting staff that were involved with the painting, we're not expecting them to continue services this year. So you have 3 people, and there were 3 of them. So the difference is about 30, almost 40,000. And so that number seems reasonable to me, that when you have 3 people who are no longer doing the job, that is a reasonable explanation of the variance. And so since those 3 people are not there anymore, continuing in 2026, then the budget, the $227,000 budget, is based on the January 2026 salaries expense multiplied by 12. Because at this time, we don't anticipate on any material change or large changes to who is working for the church and what their salaries are. So the second number I want to highlight on is buildings and grounds. So this number is probably what I think is the biggest risk to what the church statements might look like at the end of the year against swings, for the very reasons I talked about so far, that you don't know what type of expenses you will need for the church for sure. There could be, natural events such as bad rainstorms, in the summertime, etc. And you don't know how much things will cost due to inflation reasons because of what's happening in the world economically. So that number to me is where you will see swings, most likely. So we've budgeted $75,000 against the actual last year of about $69,000, which is slightly under a 10% increase. knowing right now what type of maintenance that we have. So right now, as I'm aware, the biggest, and I'm sure it will be discussed later on, but we do have roofing expenses, we have kitchen enhancements and things like that, and so those kinds of things are what's going on into this number. The other numbers, they're not extremely large, so I'm not going to take up additional time. And if you go all the way down to page 12, so anyway, actually, before we go to page 12, on page 11, you will see that in the middle, there's the general fund operating surplus, so or deficit. So this is where we are showing that on the general fund alone, which is what we operate on, there's a $48,000 deficit. And then if you look further down into page 12, this is where I put in that 79,000, the investment income, 79,987, whereas in the previous financial statements, it was included above the church's surplus and deficit line, just so that it shows better accountability where what we spent against the general fund and what we use from the special fund to cover up the deficit. So, so that's if you look at the bottom line here, it does show that if we get all of the money that we got last year for the investment income, then we will have a small surplus for us in the capital in our balance sheet. So, so overall, I think I don't see any major concerns for the church financially. I think we're in a healthy spot financially to support our programming and our congregation. So I'll leave it at that if anybody has any more questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Michael.
So just to come up to our committee group reports, this is a chance to say, can everyone stand up?
Oh, one moment.
Oh.
I think
I think Peter had a
Peter
question.
has a question?
I've lost track of the motions. Did we approve the budget?
We
for
did,
2026?
yeah. At the slide before, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So can everyone stand up who's actually on a committee or has served in a committee in the past year, who has volunteered for the church in some capacity? So 3 cheers and thank you to all the servers.
Thank you so much. I am Mike.
So next slide. So we think of the highlights of the year. That's a picture of our 100th anniversary. It was just a year ago, as we remember. And I would say thank you to all who made a difference to invite people come back to church. And we got to reconnect with many people who have been part of our church over the years. We got to be part of Doors Open. And I would say that shows like the green tablecloths off in the distance. And many people came back who had a relationship with us, but it's been a gift and a grace to understand us. But someone who is in the room, who often does things, and he's back there, I'll point at him, Joe Toby. Now, he doesn't like this, but I'll just say thank you to Joe Toby for all you do and make. He doesn't like that, but I thought it's a chance to say thank you to him. Okay, next slide, please. And so just to say, it's been an honor to serve you now. It'll be my 7th anniversary in May, and it's been great. Time flies when you're having fun. And I'm really inspired by people who do come into church. As I shared during my sermon, yes, someone did come in and say, can I pray? And then they did say, can I talk now? And then keep going. And so we're going to meet again. But it reminds us that as much as we have karate, we have self-defense, we have city dogs, we have embers, we have yoga classes, we have Pilates, and we have a daycare, and we have many, many people. We have a Thrive program. Did you know it's a special ed program for special needs children, one-on-one, and it helps people who have trouble in math, and who have trouble in reading, who have trouble in writing. And so that's of the many that we offer, and how we're making a difference in our community. It's truly a blessing and a gift to serve here. Yes, thank you. Next slide. And then Executive Council. Put your hand up if you're on the Executive Council. Please stand up. You guys, stand up. Okay. Yeah. Yes. Wonderful. So 3 cheers to the Executive Council.
I'm here.
please. And then next, trustees. Now, Liz, did you want to come up to the podium and bring your wisdom, or no? Sure. Yeah. Well,
There's not really that much to report. I mean, yeah, we've had like 3 or 4 meetings during the. Oh, sorry. There's not really that much to report, except that we are looking at the long-term nature of our investments in terms of trying to invest prudently, but we want more money. We need more money. So we've actually are talking with RBC as well as our Scotia Trust person right now in terms of trying to do that. But we don't want to put the church in any position where our principal is going to get touched. And of course, if you're in too many equities, that's you're in a bit more of a risk position. So we are probably going into more equities, more than fixed income, but not at the degree that it should put anything at risk for the church. So we take, and Judy Gasper does our special gift fund. She's our treasurer for it. She does a stellar job every year putting it together. And we thank her for that. And we thank all the trustees actually for all of their work. And in answer to your question in terms of the 54,000, yes, we are looking at that. And once we get a better sense of what we're going to be able to anticipate every year, then we'll up that. So if we could anticipate that we could get $72,000 a year, then we would go up to that as well. But the church is sustainable and viable financially right now. So we're pretty, actually from the trustees' perspective, I think we're pretty happy with everything right now.
Thank you, Liz. So I'd like to call a motion to approve the 2025 trustees report. Any discussion?
you have to say moved by Liz, second.
Moved by Liz Smith, seconded by John Joseph. Is there any discussion? Questions?
It was the written report.
Okay. All approved? Motion carried.
Next slide. Now that's in the report. I think we've, now Judy, we're not asking Judy to explain that, but if you do have any questions, you can send them to as a note later on about this is all the funds that we have and that we continue to celebrate in our church. Okay, next slide. And before we'll pause there for a second, can all the trustees please stand up? Yeah. Here is our wonderful trustees. Thank you.
Thank you.
And we come to our volunteers, a blessing, and I want to say those who volunteer at Manor, there's many that are here, people that aren't here, and there's people that have done and served for many years. So I want to say a special prayer right now and say, let's pray. God, we thank you for those who have brought their wisdom and those who continue to bring their wisdom, those who are stepping down to move into different directions. God, be with us, God, surround us, and Christ enfold us. Amen.
Amen.
And then we have our next slide. You, Susan Logie. She's
doing double duty here.
Yeah, she's taking secretary.
I can't keep track of where we are on this. It's really the deal. I want to take this moment to thank our staff, which at this point in time is John Joseph.
And Russell.
And Russell.
And Lily.
And Lily.
And Tom is in the building somewhere.
Tom, where are you?
There he is.
And Tom.
Mahmoud?
And Mahmoud is somewhere outside or somewhere in the building. Having lunch, I don't know. Anyways, not really. So I want to thank all of our staff who are terrific. And shall we give them a hand of applause?
Okay, next slide. And this is the time we get to remember those who have been with us. Some didn't pass away last year, but they did in other years. But in silence, just before we move into silence, let's just shout out some of the names that we do remember. And certainly I think of Simon Morris and many more. Let us pause in silence. God, we thank you as we remember. May their light continue to shine for all of us in our hearts, in the road we walk. Amen. And can we have the next slide? Any other business? Okay. Hold that thought. Okay. Next slide. Okay. This is the, and I want to say a special thank you to those who play Mr. and Mrs. Claus every year. It's truly a wonder that they do that in the weather that we have. Yes. And so let's stand together and let's join hands. Yeah. God, we thank you on this day. Continue to be with us and guide us and hold us in the palm of your hands. Amen. And please be seated. And next slide. We do have to move to adjourn. We're going to sing this and then adjourn. As Tom is going to lead us. One verse. Okay. Thank you, Tom. Okay. All right.
Spirit, open my heart to the joy and pain of living. As you love, may I love in receiving and in giving. Spirit, open my heart.
Next slide.
Motion to adjourn this meeting, moved by Susan Logie, seconded by Susan Johnson, that we adjourn. All in favor? Motion carried.
Amen.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. And now we can eat and break bread and tell stories. Okay, great. Thank you.